Okay, so hi guys. Today we are going to be presenting on visualizing the topic progression of a text. My name is Laney Moy. When I participated in the Wolfram Emerging Leaders Program last fall, I was a senior at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. I'm currently a freshman at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign studying computer science. I'm also working at Wolfram Research as an intern in the Document and Media Systems Department and as a TA at the Wolfram Summer Camp this past summer.
Hi, I'm Rachna Gupta, and I'm a senior at the Illinois Math and Science Academy. I presented a poster at last year's Wolfram Tech Conference, and I was an interviewer for the Wolfram Tech Talks. I'm excited to be here again.
Hi, my name is Alex Alexandrovskiy. I was a student at Wolfram Summer Camp in 2019, a TA in the camp in 2020, and I also participated in WELP last year.
So our project is basically on determining the topic progression of a text. And as you can see in this visual, here we have the axis of time, and here we have like the percentage of the conversation. So this is one of our final results. And you can see that a lot of the conversation is taken up by this topic and later by this topic. So we'll talk about all this later in our presentation. But after attending the Wolfram Summer Camp 2 years ago in 2019, we were part of the Wolfram Emerging Leaders Program under the mentorship of Rory Foulger, who is lovely. As a Wolfram Emerging Leaders Program project team, we created a tool to summarize and present the structure of a complex piece of natural language in graphical form by identifying the dominant topics within the text and visualizing their progression. We use a simple clustering algorithm to assign words to topics based on their distributions in the text, and we feed the resulting data into a number of different visualization functions, effectively providing a semantic overview of the text. Our methods could be applied to long-form writing such as novels, articles, or textbooks, as well as transcripts of audio recordings like podcasts, lectures, and meetings.
So the objective of our project was to identify and visualize topic progression of a text. We originally intended for it to be a tool for students to review major ideas, but it can be extended for anything from a podcast to a novel. In order to identify the topics, we clustered words from the text based on the distribution of their frequency in relation to each other. Once we had the clusters of related words, we filtered the clusters using a variety of hyperparameters and thresholds for meaningful topics. Then we created visualizations using those topics.
So our first sort of task was trying to figure out how to find out and sort of build our topics. And we researched a number of solutions for that, specifically LDA, LSA, and LDA with conjunction with Word2Vec. And so LDA and LSA are their methods for matching topics between documents. And that sort of in conjunction with Word2Vec adds the dimension of the meaning of the word and how close the meaning of the words are, and so on. And eventually we decided to not go that route and to build our own algorithm, basically based on distributions of words more than the meaning of words, because we realized that there are certain cases where words with the same topic can obviously, words with very different meanings can very obviously be part of the same topic. So for example, if you're looking at, this is Alice in Wonderland, the text of Alice in Wonderland, and the histograms are basically the bars are occurrences of two words in the text. So the left one is tart and the right one is court. And those words obviously have very different meaning, but they're part of the same section of the book and the same, we would consider the same topic. And that's why we decided to go with more of a distribution based topic modeling solution.
So we start off with our hyperparameters, which allow us to approximate how we're going to go about our algorithm. So our first hyperparameter is word num fraction. And this is approximately the number of words out of the total unique words that we are going to consider as possibly part of a topic. So we came up with about 8.3% of the total unique words will be associated with the topic. And this may vary depending on the granularity that the user is looking for. But this is a number that we found worked well. And then topic num fraction is relative to the number of words that we are considering, how many topics might exist. And this is all before we start filtering. And then max word standard deviation we use to prevent words that appear frequently throughout the text. So for instance, in Alice in Wonderland, which we're using as our example here, the word Alice likely appears throughout the text and shouldn't be associated with a single topic. So we're saying that if the standard deviation of a single word is greater than 25% of the length of the text, then we don't consider it. And max topic fraction is similar. We don't want general topics that last more than 30% of the length of the text. So these hyperparameters we just found worked well in this scenario. In the future, we could change them or update them based on the granularity that we were looking for in a specific text. So for selecting words, we first take the text of Alice in Wonderland, which we got from the Wolfram Data Repository, and then we remove all the punctuation and put everything in lowercase. And then we use word stems for instead of actual words, because we want to consider like run and running as part of the same topic, and we'd want to count them together. So we word stem / at the raw list, and then the number of words that we're looking for is the same as our word num fraction times the length of the initial list, only counting distinct words. And topic num is word num, which we calculated here, times the topic num fraction. So then in multiple lists, we remove all of the words that only appear once. And from here, we remove all of the words that have a standard deviation greater than the max word standard deviation multiplied by the length of the list or of the text. And then we take the word num most common words of those, and these are the words that we're going to move forward with for considering topics.
So for our actual algorithm of topic clustering, what we did was we found for each of the words that we selected, the mean position in the text and the variance of the position in the text. And essentially, we took those two dimensions and sort of plotted them, you could say, and then tried to find clusters within that. So like sets of points where they have about the same mean, about the same variance. And so you could possibly say that they're part of the same topic. And we, could you scroll down a little bit? Yeah, so after that, you know, if you, when you run the like find clusters function that Wolfram has, the results like are still rough and you have to filter them. So for example, using the bounds function, which is basically just the, it finds the one of the first occurrences of a word that is part of a given topic, and one of the last, so like 10th and 90th percentile by position. And if sort of the range of the topic is too large, then we remove that, because if it's essentially a topic that spans the entire text, then it's kind of useless to you know, consider for us. And similarly, we also remove words that have too high of a variance, and because you know, they're mostly also kind of useless to us. And you know, using that, if you plot the clusters that we end up with, this is what it looks like. So the different colors are different clusters. And the final step here is to label the topics, and we wanted to label suggest the list of words inside of a topic. And but right now we're operating with word stems, so we just look for a noun in the text that corresponds to one of the word stems and replace that and use that as our label.
So now that we have the methodology and approach covered, we can see how successful our visualizations were. So our first visualization was just a very basic flowchart. It shows the general order of topics, but it doesn't show frequency, duration, or importance of the topics in any way. In order to make it, if you look at the code here, we just built a table of association of rules. We connected each topic with the following topic, and then used a layered graph plot to visualize that table. This visualization is great for a quick review, and it's easily readable, but it doesn't show a lot of information, but it was a great starting point for us. The next visualization that we made was the timeline chart. This chart showcases the duration of each topic, which can be used to estimate the prevalence of the topic in the text as a whole. While this visualization shows more than the flowchart, it is still lacking in some areas. For example, it doesn't incorporate the frequency of each topic. So when topics are occupying the same duration, you have no way of knowing which one is dominant or more frequent. In order to make this visualization, we made a table of the intervals for each cluster, which was determined based on the 10th and 90th percentile of appearances for each word in the topic, which we used, which was represented by the function bounds, which we explained earlier. We then visualized that table using number line plots. And here is it for Alice in Wonderland.
Our next visualization is the frequency chart visualization, which provides more insight into the actual distribution of topics within the text. So if you recall, we talked about earlier using tart and court, and we saw that they were like located in similar positions. So we do that again with all of the words that are in clusters. So each bar here, each vertical bar represents an occurrence of a word, and then the color of the bar indicates which topic that word corresponds to. So there are a couple issues with this one as well. It's hard to see like where specifically in the text they occur, or sometimes it's hard to tell how much each topic is talked about, and dominant topics also block out less dominant topics. But you can see we have a progression from like the dark purple through the lighter purple into some green. We've got some orange stripes in here, and then over at the end we have some blue and gray as well. Our next visualization is our stacked area plot visualization, which shows the frequency at which a topic occurs relative to time. So it displays both how much and for how long a topic appears in the text. So first what we do is we create our list of all of the words that appear in clusters. And then from our list of all the words in the text, we select all the ones that are in clusters. So then our cluster ID list is the list of positions within all cluster words for each word in initial list cluster. And then cluster association points from each of the words in all cluster words. Well, the position of each word in all cluster words and to the cluster that we're looking for. So then cluster IDs will give us a list of the ID numbers for each word in initial list cluster that correspond to a specific topic. So then we can know which topic each of these words belongs to. So then here basically what we're doing is we're taking the derivative at a point, and we're using num10, as in we're considering each, we're considering the word that we're on and the following 10 words. And for these 10 words, we count how many of them are in each topic. And then based on that, we form our Y list, which is the stacked list of how of how much of the conversation is dedicated to each topic. And here we can see it's kind of jagged, our visualization here, right? So what we do next is we use Bezier curves to smooth it out a bit. This is completely optional and you don't have to do it, just to make it look a little prettier. And then when we show them on top of each other, you can see here we have a little, there's some talk about feeling marked, which is a bit of an ambiguous name, but you can see that's the introduction as she enters Wonderland, and then talking about this section, and over at the end you get some about the kings, and this is the yellow part is the Queen of Hearts section, if you may recall.
So all the visualizations up until this point were sort of external to the text, and this one is the only one where you can actually see sort of the topics in the text. So this is meant to color the text based on which topics it's currently about. So basically first we assign certain colors to topics, and then So we look at the text and say that, so all the words that are already part of a certain topic, we color them to color that topic. But then for the words that are in between them, if a section is in between two words of the same topic, we obviously color it the same color as that topic. But for cases where there's a section that is in between two topic words that are of different topics, what we do is we look at all the topics and calculate their mean position in the text. So look at all of the occurrences of all the words inside them and get the mean position. And then for those sections that are sort of undecided, we look at sort of the middle of that section and we see which of the topic means it's closest to. And from there, we color it that color. And that's basically how the algorithm works. So for the result, if you could scroll down a little bit. It's unfortunately, there's like too much data to be fit into like an output, but there's a picture here of what it kind of looks like. So you can see at the start, it's blue, then brown, blue again, and so on. This large brown section. You can kind of see, you know, there's little sprinkles of topics inside other topics, and that's kind of I feel can have some sort of value in understanding how the text sort of flows. Yeah. Sorry, Rachna, I think. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Now that we've gone through explaining everything, let's see how some examples of how our topic model actually works. So we've been using Alice in Wonderland as an example throughout the talk. So here's a compilation of the topic progression visualizations for that text. As you can see, some of the words in each topic are very clearly linked to one another, such as kings and majesty or queen and hearts. And queen and hearts are linked together because of the namesake character, who predominantly shows up in that part of the text. The first topic, feeling marked, is a little bit more ambiguous, but it's, as you can see from like where it shows up in the timeline chart, it's obviously about Alice entering Wonderland, which is why it shows up in the beginning. In the frequency chart, you can see how some topics show up multiple times, such as the orange near 6,000 words or the brown near the end. And that's something that would only be shown in the frequency chart and the stacked area plot, not in the timeline chart. The stacked area plot shows how all of these topics relate to each other with duration and frequency, etc. Overall, the actual topics seem to be consistent and representative of the text, even if some topic titles are slightly ambiguous. The example of Alice in Wonderland can showcase how our program functions for fictional texts in general. So we ran the program again for a peer-reviewed article entitled The Socioeconomic Implications of the Coronavirus Pandemic, which was written by Maria Nicola et al. We chose this text because we were curious about how the program would work for nonfiction informational texts. And you can see that most of the topics are very clear-cut and obviously related, such as research conferences, domestic abuse, mortgage house, etc. There are also some like Japan loan scheme and oil Saudi prices, where the topic titles are more specific, but you can still see that they're related to each other. In the frequency chart, you can see blocks of each color, which is a good sign, and it makes sense because in a research paper, especially this one specifically, topics will be more separated than in a fictional text. The stacked area plot is a little bit different from the Alice in Wonderland one because it has more variety in the curves. You can see where different topics exist simultaneously, whereas for the Alice in Wonderland, it was a little bit more diagonal. Overall, this example showcases how our program can function successfully for informational texts as in addition to fictional texts.
So in conclusion, we successfully identified and filtered topic clusters, and we created 5 visualizations for varying purposes, and those would be the flowchart, timeline chart, frequency chart, stacked area plot, and color-coded text. In the future, we'd like to allow the same word to be part of 2 distinct topics, and we'd also like to build something that allows for bimodal topics that occur multiple times throughout the text. We'd also like to apply our project to audio clips of conversations and lectures. and create a cloud application with user options to alter the hyperparameters so that a user could upload a text and determine their desired granularity. We'd also like to contribute this to the Wolfram Function repository. We would like to thank Rory Foulger, the Wolfram Emerging Leaders Program Coordinator, and William Goodall, the Assistant Coordinator, as well as all the other WELP participants and the Wolfram Events team for putting together this conference. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the Pathful chat. Yeah, so I'm going to upload the notebook as soon as we finish here. Thank you. If anybody has questions about like our backgrounds as well, or wants to see the visualizations again, we can totally go through that. Oh, Rodrigo, I'm not sure that I understand your question. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask?
Hi, Laney. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, nice. First of all, nice presentation. And I'd like to know if you plan to do some like a neural net before to do this team, because like BERT, you can get better the concepts, yes, and maybe instead of a simple steam, put another layer in the top of that. I don't know if you have planning or do something like that as an experiment.
Yeah, so we definitely thought about using neural networks in some way to either come up with the topics or figure out what hyperparameters work best. And that's something we totally consider doing in the future.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so since it doesn't look like there are any more questions, well, we'd like to thank you for coming to listen to us talk. We had a lot of fun with this project, and we hope that you enjoyed our final product. We can drop our emails in the chat if any of you would like to ask us any more questions. Yeah. Thank you so much.